It is an alternate 1985, and not only has Richard Nixon just been re-elected to a third term, but the USA and the Soviet Union are counting down a doomsday clock to nuclear war. On top of this, someone is killing former costume superheroes, and because of this, the few that remain are inspired to don their capes and masks one more time to uncover the truth. Hello to everyone watching, and thank you once again for tuning into RealScreenReviews.com and We Live Film. I am movie critic Nick Yakabuchi, and our next movie review is for The Watchmen from 2009. This film comes to us from the successful Hollywood filmmaker Zack Snyder, the man that directed Dawn of the Dead, 300, and Sucker Punch. This was Snyder's attempt to bring to life another graphic novel to the big screen, and this could easily be considered one of the most celebrated graphic novels of all time. Okay, when this movie opens, a retired superhero known as the Comedian is murdered, and as the mystery unravels, we explore the world of a superhero in a far different way than we ever have seen before. You have to think straight away that this is a tough movie to sell, with unknown superheroes the likes of Rorschach, Dr. Manhattan, the Silk Spectre, and the Night Owl, and that's because they're not household names like Batman and Spider-Man. The biggest reason that this movie does succeed is because it is an authentic movie filled with authentic characters, and they have just as realistic issues and problems as anyone that's watching the film, who in their life has never felt like an outsider. This brings me to the above-average on-screen talents in Billy Crudup, Matthew Goode, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Jackie Earle Haley. Now, these names do not represent big movie stars. These are quality actors that usually appear in smaller Hollywood films. I think that this cast was intentionally assembled for two reasons, and the first and biggest reason is the talent that they bring to the screen. The second reason, and mind you, it's not that they are unknown actors, but this movie would never work at all with Tom Cruise, Will Smith, and Jack Black in the leads. It is easy to identify Patrick Wilson as the Night Owl because both are not recognizable figures, so these actors are naturally accepted into these kind of unknown roles. Something else that was very interesting about The Watchmen was seeing a story where society turned on the heroes that protected them, and it was impossible for me not to compare it to Disney's The Incredibles. Now, I know that The Incredibles was played for heartwarming family fun, but this film really explored in emotional detail the idea of people lashing out against their heroes. It really dives into the darker side of heroics, and especially accents the sacrifices and responsibilities that go with the neat outfits. Now, the acting in the film is really top-notch, and everyone from Patrick Wilson to Malene Akerman to Matthew Goode to Jeffrey Dean Morgan are all well above average. They bring depth and remorse to these supposed envied heroes, and their three-dimensional and well-rounded portrayals add much to the film dramatically. Here, though, I must point out the exceptional performance by Jackie Earle Haley as Rorschach. Now, Tom Hardy's Bane in The Dark Knight Rises had a partially covered face for most of that movie, and he did a lot with it. But Jackie Earle Haley has a completely covered face most of the time in this film, and I think he does just as much with that. The character of Rorschach brought with it a ton of emotion and intrigue, and it was a fascinating performance worthy of an Oscar nomination. Now, some drawbacks with The Watchmen have to begin with that if they made it accurate to the graphic novel, the movie would have been about 15 hours long. There really is so much of a story to be told here that, in my opinion, it should have been two movies, and with each part there would have needed to be much more action as well as faster pacing. Now, I'm cool with the movie that I saw. However, if you're going to make a movie with this many plot lines, know going in that you can tell a well-rounded story. I would say that Zack Snyder made the best movie that he could, but there are so many characters and there are so many storylines that it worked against this one project. At right around 3 hours, The Watchmen was definitely a step forward in the direction of original, but it's no cinematic masterpiece like LA Confidential was to the genre of noir. This is a good movie, and I would definitely recommend it, but taking into account the length and the fact that it's about superheroes that are unknown, I would say that it's really not for everybody. Finally, with graphic sex, violence, and adult language, you are well into the world of maturity, and this once again, I believe, worked against this from becoming a big hit. Nick's Real Screen Review is a more than recommended 3 stars out of 4, and that's for the ensemble superhero adaptation of the graphic novel, The Watchmen. That's all I have time for today. If you've enjoyed this review, please click like and give me a thumbs up, or subscribe to We Live Film or Real Screen Reviews if you haven't yet already. I'm sure that I'll be returning soon enough with more movie and trailer reviews, and until then, remember people that I'm not always right, but only when it comes to the movies, and thank you for your attention.